So shall we start session today? Now, so let's together put aside everything on your mind. Let's look at things together. Not through a particular viewpoint or a particular way of thinking. All that will inevitably distort the observation. So one must put aside every way of thinking. One's accumulated conclusions, also illusions, opinions, theories, which are all the product of thoughts. When one looks at the world as it is, it's not difficult to see that thoughts keep dividing. Thoughts create a huge amount of details. Our life is surrounded and trapped in numerous fragments. And the fragment is the product of thoughts. The fragmented living must have a conflict. It's not a curse. It's something factual. When everyone in society is trapped in its own unique fragment, the consequence is obvious. People are in contradiction with each other. The division, which is also implied by the fragments, must breed conflict. Great division means great conflict. And conflict means violence, aggression. Which is not uncommon in society. To observe all those, one must put aside all the emotions, the reactions, or various images of what should be. Okay, this should be like that, this should be like this, or this shouldn't be like that. One must put aside all of those. Obviously, what should be or what should not be does not help one change the situation. The aggression, the conflict, the violence is there. Can one observe all those as they are? Can one observe all those without a single movement of thought? That's to judge or conclude or justify. Or resort to various cunning and fulfilling explanations. When the mind is able to discard every single image of what should be or what should not be, then what is left? That's only what is, isn't it? And when the mind stays with what is, without any escape, the mind will come upon insight. And the insight will change the brain. Can I observe this for oneself? What we are talking about here is no longer a theory. It is something very, very factual. But one must compound it. Welcome.
Sorry for interrupting.
Please. Only when the mind stays with what is, without any escape, any explanation, without any analysis, no theories, no what should be or what should not be, no emotions or reactions. The mind may compound insight into everything one is living with, everything around one. The insight cannot be invited, but rather one must put aside everything invented by thoughts, ideas. Being with what is embodies this wonderful journey of discovery. And when one is really with what is, there's no fragment at all. But when the mind is trapped in the fragment, as we said earlier, which is the product of thoughts, everything will be filtered interpreted, distorted through that lens in that fragment. Therefore, the mind cannot see what is as it is. The mind is merely repeating in its own fragment with its reactions, emotions, and the various unstoppable compulsions. Can the mind be free of all fragments? Can the mind see what is as it is? This demands one's tremendous diligence. Careful observation and the penetration through all the superficial things. And this demands one's very serious, earnest attitude. That's why one needs to give attention to understand the meaning of non-doing. Non-doing psychologically. It doesn't mean that you do nothing physically. It's not that, but psychologically, non-doing. Most people in this world has various doing psychologically because the mind is trapped in the reactions. In these reactions, the chain of it. In that reaction, chain, the mind always projects the image of what should be or what should not be. And the mind clings to that to achieve it. So the mind is stuck in that perpetual compulsions to achieve the image of what should be or what should not be. Can one observe this in myself? Observe means that let's know what should be or what should not be. Just observe as it is. We don't condemn it. But just be aware of these activities. the mind keeps projecting what should be and what should not be. And the compulsion comes up, pushing the mind to achieve that. Which means various doing all the time, psychologically. Come and observe them. Be aware of them. When the mind is doing that, the doing will come to an end. You don't say, oh, I shouldn't be that, oh, I should be that. There's no such thing at all. Just observe. Give your heart to it. And that observation is not your choice. It's not that, oh, I choose to observe. Then that's not observation. But just simply be aware. And that awareness is never a choice. That's to say, when the thoughts are operating, can the thoughts be aware of themselves? So, do it now. Find it for yourself. When the thoughts are operating, can the thoughts be aware of themselves? In that total and choiceless observation, everything stays in the right place. And that total observation, as we said, which is choiceless, is non-doing. When there's non-doing, doing stays in the right place. But when there's no non-doing, doing will make various mischief. That mischief is manifested and expressed in every corner of the society. various ugly behaviors. Absurdities and the nonsenses. And the chaos economically, politically, financially, every level are showing that mischief. There's no non-doing because the mind is not aware. Therefore, the doing creates endless divisions, extremities. See the violence, see the force, these very forceful behaviors. And when the doing continues, it continues in all directions. And the me, the ego, is perpetuated, enhanced all the time because the doing. This endless psychological doing with its compulsions makes the me, the sense of me, deep-seated. And the whole world, the society is based on that, which must be catastrophic, as one can see. This endless doing psychologically, which re-enhances the me of the time, makes the whole body restless. Kind of mind compound non-doing. Can one observe all those as they are? Can one perceive the danger of this endless psychological doing all the time? as we said, this doing based on the image of what should be or what should not be, which is a thought process. So the mind has that compulsion to achieve the image, which means that the mind is always doing things according to a thought, which further implies that thoughts are worshipped. The whole society, the whole world is worshipping thoughts. We don't condemn thoughts, but worshipping thoughts implies extremities. As we said in the early sessions, thoughts have their places, definitely. But when the whole world is worshipping thoughts, which is to encourage this endless psychological doing. It's something very dangerous. The egoism, individualism, it's all based on that. Seeing all that, can the mind be free of all that? When there's non-doing, there's no me, there's no you. We are all seeing the same thing. But there's this, in this psychological doing, the mind is trapped in its particular way of thinking, with its particular feeling, emotion, sensation. And then everybody is seeing what his thoughts projecting. Therefore, that's not seeing, that's trapping. Everybody is trapped in their own cell. In that cell, the mind is violent, aggressive, destructive. Various laws and regulations are made. Unwittingly enhances that. Can we observe all those as they are? Can the mind be unconditioned by anything? Don't accept anything you are being told, including the speaker. Just observe for yourself. don't accept anything you are told by anybody. One must observe. One must doubt. One must find out for oneself. Seeing what is as it is means you are alone doing that. Being alone is not isolated. You know, the word alone means all one. When the mind is free, every fragment, there's only one. So you are all one, therefore you are alone. In that aloneness, the mind is observing, discovering. In that aloneness, the mind perceives how dangerous the world is. Various fragments are doing every way to get you into their fragment. Various influences. And when the mind is perceiving that danger as it is, the mind has great energy. Isn't it? When we are facing danger, we are all alert. And that alertness implies tremendous energy, doesn't it? See most people's life. Their life is lethargic. No energy. What happens? Find out for yourself, sir. As we said, that alertness is energy. That alertness, or in that alertness, there's a passion. Passion is not in the sense that passion for something. That's not passion at all. Passion is passion. It's not passion for something. Please see the difference at all, the sheer difference between the two. When I say I have a passion for something, passion is not. Passion has no purpose, has no direction. You see, when those fragments drain the energy, the alertness is gone. Passion is gone. Life is trapped in that fragments. But when the mind, when the whole neuron system is free of any fragments, life is full of energy. And that energy implies the alertness to various fragments, which are the danger. Any fragment only dissipates the energy. When there's no energy, everything is deteriorating. And society is degenerate. The same phenomenon, the same trend, can one observe that without being influenced by the speaker's words. The speaker has no intention to influence you in any way. He's not imposing any viewpoint on you, but rather invite you to observe. To awaken the intelligence of your neuron cells. Know the cunningness or the thoughts which is, worshipped by society. You must be smart. You must be clever. And there will be endless reward for you. You see the pattern of this world, but rather can one awaken one's own intelligence of the neuron cells. We are all human beings, not the cunning, selfish, egocentric. What? And in that awakening of the intelligence of the neuron cells, one see the insight into everything. There's clarity, and there's beauty that any pleasures cannot reach. Our life is very short, very short. But look at what we have done on this earth in this conflict, contradictions, killing, destruction, pollution. The bloated ego. Utter individualism. Great isolation, loneliness, what are human beings doing? What are we doing? Our life is trapped in various patterns. The energy has been dissipated to keep various patterns running. Perhaps there's this or that little pleasures or security in that. But deeply, the mind has a sense of despair. Feel this utter meaningless of the living. We try to seek pleasures, to quench this flame of discontent. But that flame of discontent is the operation of the neuron cell's intelligence. It can never be extinguished. No matter how much effort one has made to seek pleasure, to escape, though ending up in more fears, can the flame of that discontent burn? That's not emotion. That's not a reaction. But that's the natural state of the neuron cells. Cannot burn. When that is burning, there's no struggle, there's no contradiction, there's no conflict. That's only observation, the very, very deep one. Seeing what is as it is. Can that flame burning without developing into emotions or reactions? when that is burning, everything one has clinged to are all ashes. Otherwise, one keeps clinging to different things. The attachment with various issues behind that. But when that flame is burning, everything is ashes. Can one smell the freedom from afar? Free of any attachment, burdens. In that, there's great beauty. The beauty as a human being, with his integrity, virtue. Life is good. And that goodness has nothing to do with the bad, the evil. So, over those demands of one's diligence, careful penetration into all the horrific superficialities. And this also demands of one's humility in the real sense, putting aside all the vanities, idiosyncrasies. To compound what is freedom and know the freedom the society is promoting. That's different one. Free of fear, free of any attachment. Then one can compound what is beauty, what is compassion, and what is the meaning of living. And be a light to yourself. Please don't depend on anybody to ignite the light. There's no possibility at all. You must be a light to yourself. And that light can dispel all darkness. that light is also the goodness. Live a life in goodness. And when one is good, one is wise. Not the other way around. Not when one is wise, one is good. Not possible. When one is really good, one is wise. Dealing with various issues. In this monstrous world. Sorry to use that word, monstrous. For the next hour, let's have this open dialogue and conversations. Anyone can ask any questions. It's not true that you ask the speaker the question and depend on the answer from the speaker, not that, but rather propose the question. We all think together. Let's find out what's the real question behind that question. And hopefully everybody can put aside all the worries, concerns, and be honest. Not to a speaker, which has no meaning, but to yourself. But be honest to yourself. So free to ask, free to propose any topics.
Can we start?
Yeah.
So when the mind is looking through fragments, there's no non-doing.
No.
And when their mind is without fragments, then there is no doing.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it. So can the mind be free of all the fragments? That's to be aware of all the activities of thoughts, movement. Getting insight into the nature of thoughts. You know, for most people, the mind can easily deceive itself that thoughts can do anything. You know, that great illusion is so deep-seated. One must give attention to observe, to see the limitation of thoughts. We don't condemn it. Thoughts have their places, but one must be aware of the limitations. And that awareness of the limitations, or the great discovery of that limitations, matters tremendously. So can one discover for oneself the limitation of thoughts through everything in your life? when one give attention to all the thought movement, one will compound that great discovery. Seeing the limitation of thoughts will not go wild. Thoughts will stay in the right place. Without seeing the limitation of thoughts, the mind must be trapped in numerous fragments, which are the products of thoughts. You see how fragmented one is. The whole society is based on various fragments. That's one thing. And psychologically, one has various directions to pursue, to get fulfillment. We are disintegrated, aren't we? Where is the integrity? Please see the meaning of integrity. It's very simple, isn't it? The original meaning of the word integrity. But now we are all fragmented. In that fragmented living, not only inwardly but also outwardly, there's no integrity. This commercialism is based on fragments. When there's no integrity, there's no morality. If the speaker is allowed to say in that way, the whole society is immoral. Devoid of integrity, because they are only fragments. Can I see the facts of that, the truth of it? Can one safeguard the integrity despite of the endless fragments in the world?
But like when you say that society is fragmented and there is no integrity, do you mean that people are not like connected to each other, or can you explain that a bit more? Or
what is your observation, sir, in your life? Can you say that the people are not connected?
I would say yes, to a certain degree, yes. I think, like for instance, I feel connected to my friends or family or people that I am close to. But yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't really feel connected to. So so to a certain degree, yes, I would say.
And if the speaker understands you well, so you are still studying in the university, right? So what the speaker point to, not only to your environment, but also generally to the society, in every way of living, in different segment. And the people are always pursuing their own fulfillment. I don't know whether you can say that in your life or not. So every day they have their own dream to pursue, their own fulfillment, their own ambitions. So people can superficially stay together, for a drink, to have that. Well, we can say superficial connection. We don't condemn it. It's good to have beer together sometimes, right? But deeply, the speaker means deeply. People are all disconnected because they have their own directions, their own fulfillment. That all imply a fragment. They think the life's happiness comes from pleasure, from satisfaction, from the fulfillment. That's why their own dream, their own purpose becomes so important. But deeply, they are confused. They are lost. There's, this abiding fear, uncertainty. And, it is difficult for most people to talk about that. They tend to ignore or try to bury themselves into other pleasurable activities. To let people confide is something very difficult when they don't know how to approach themselves. When one does not know how to approach oneself, there's only escape all the time. So deeply, people are discounted, and superficially, like in universities or in the workplace, people have this kind of a superficial connection. And that's one phenomenon. But deeply, people are disconnected.
I think it also really adds to this quote. It is easy to understand what I said and act to understanding, but nobody could understand or act. I think we all are within ourselves like egocentric, which you were also saying, and it's really difficult to kind of share your own view or thoughts about the world, and it's kind of contradictive as well.
Yes.
And also just now was also thinking like good or bad and society and immorality, which we were mentioning as well. And it's kind of hard to even define what's good or bad or moral or immoral. Like also with this quote, regardless of how big or small, much or little, respond to the ill deeds with goodness. It's really thinking about what's then a good response, or it's still kind of still thinking about it, and I think it's really difficult to put a finger on to kind of share that view with other people, you can say.
Yes, you see, in that goodness, there's no bad. The bad is it's totally unrelated to the goodness. But now we are, in South we are saying which is good, which is bad. But when there's division between the good and bad, goodness is not. The goodness implies there's no division. In a society where goodness is absent, and we keep talking about what is good, what is bad, there's no answer, isn't it? And why it's becoming so difficult for one to share this hidden or adulterated, or this true view for myself. Why do we keep hiding it? And everybody hiding it, and everybody doing something superficially. What happens to the mind? Is that because of fear? Fear of being different from others. We all want to get a sense of belonging to a community or belong to some group, and everybody conform to that. Then what? And everything is organized in that superficial way. But deeply, we are still disconnected. We don't really express the truth. But when one can do that, and when everybody can acknowledge, perhaps there's connection on a deeper level. We see the same thing, but why we hide it? Or perhaps we don't feel that, we don't perceive it, we don't face the thing as it is. We keep escaping, avoiding, burying ourselves into very pleasurable things with fear in that. So, seeing what is demands letting go of the ego with all the fears in it. Because seeing what is implies there's no fear. Fear what, right? Fear, what is a fear? What causes the fear? Is the actual thing cause fear, or is the image in the head causes the fear? Please say that, sir.
I think in our society it's more of a thought.
Yes, seeing that, sir. Just seeing that. That's also what is, part of what is. When there's only what is, where is the fear? The what is includes not only the outward activities in the world, but also all the psychological activities here, seeing them as they are. Where's the fear? As we said, seeing is observing, which is non-doing. So where's the fear? Without observation, without this choiceless awareness of the activities of the psyche, there's doing, and there's fear. Fear is a thought process, the images. And then fear also prepares more doing. You see the chain of directions come in that. Can be free of fears. All fear. Not one particular fear, all fear.
I'm also just thinking, like, is it good to be free of all fear? Because, like sometimes, because I see what you mean by saying that fear is like a construct in the mind, or that's I think what you're saying. But then I'm also thinking that, like, fear is also good, I think, in the sense that it makes us not do like dangerous things that we shouldn't do. So like how do you find like a balance between letting go of fear, but also like kind of engaging with it in a way that is like useful for yourself?
Do you understand his question? So the gentleman said that how to differentiate the psychological fear, which is totally unnecessary, and the physical fear, which is healthy for the body to act. Is that a question?
Yeah, basically that's, yeah.
So we need to understand the distinctions between the physical fear and the psychological ones. Here we are attacking the psychological fear, but we also need to examine and understand what is physical fears, though they are actually also connected. For example, when one is walking on the road, and then there's animal, for example, a bear, pop up, coming at you. And then time, the whole neural system will have physical fear because the mind perceives that that's a danger, right, affecting my life. So the whole body will have actions to protect. But at time, when the mind is also have his own psychological fear, and that when that psychological fear is overriding the physical fear, the mind is paralyzed, therefore cannot take proper actions. But when there's no psychological fear, when there's physical danger, there's physical fear, the intelligence of neuron cells will relax the body to take right actions. So only when the mind is able to deal with the psychological fears, the physical fears, can function in the right place. And as we said in the session today, when the mind is really alert, those fragments of the world is also physical danger. Though they are a product of thought, but they are physical danger. Please see the truth of it. Because when the mind is trapped in the fragment, the mind becomes dull, insensitive, losing the alertness. Therefore, more fear, attachment, all the issues. That's also physical fear, physical danger. In that trapping, there's in this psychological fear. You see, all the problems are in this. So can one empty the mind so there's no psychological fear? Then physical fear, which is natural and healthy, will function in the right place. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, thank you.
I also wanted to add a little on this question. Well, like fear for others, like other people, and what their intentions are. Like it's more kind of, you can approach it with more paranoid kind of tendencies. How do you deal with those kind of thoughts?
So if the speaker understands your question, is that when you see some different people and they have some different intentions and you can feel a little fearful for that, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. First, we don't condemn it. We don't say it's wrong. Perhaps it's very right. Let's find out. So if the speaker is allowed to say in this way, we can say, vast majority of people in this world has their mind in disorder. In that the egocentric state of mind, it is very unpredictable, very changeable. When one is aware of the pattern of the ego, that's something very certain. If one is really serious about this and find out, observing diligently, one can find out, can perceive the pattern of the ego. But the content, which is the fragment of the thoughts brought about by the ego, is always changeable, always unpredictable. And as a human being, when we have this natural interaction, some extent of this certainty is necessary. I mean, I know you are a good person. Therefore, every time I'm talking to you, I'm not fearful. Is that so? But when you see somebody is very good, I don't think you feel fearful for that. But when you meet some people you don't know, and the mind is very sensitive to their behaviors, outlook. So this fearful, perhaps is something natural. Especially in this environment, most people's minds are rather distorted. If the speaker allows you in that, express in that way, without any emotions. So meeting a new people, which is probably in a disorder, but in a different form, can bring about this uncertainty. Because so now, as human beings in this environment, we have losing the common ground of goodness. That's the certainty we need to interact, to stay with, to speak to, right? Without that goodness, you see what happens in the world. People stay further away. Then everyone becomes an isolated island. See the fact of it. So I observe myself that fearfulness. Because when one is really good, what one says, what one does, exhumes that goodness. One can perceive it rather easily. Without that goodness, every word one say, every action one takes, still manifests that disorder. So in facing that physical danger, how can the mind not be fearful? So seeing the fact, when one has to, interact with a different person, can one be with that state, be with that fearful? Don't run away. Don't justify it. Just stay with it. And when that interaction is gone, finished. Right.
Isn't fear a powerful source for fragments? So if I'm afraid of somebody, I have like an initial reaction, I will also start telling myself stories on why I'm afraid of him or her, and why is it justified, and construct a whole view. And that's a story, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I put aside all of that? Just stay with that fearfulness and stay unknown. When you try to construct a story, you trap yourself in the known, which doesn't helpful. It doesn't help at all. So can one stay with the actual feeling, that fearful, that sensation, and stay unknown? Otherwise, that sensation will bring about compulsion when the mind is in the known. See the fact of it, sir. So when you have for example, when one has that feeling, we can go to fearful or whatever it is. It's sensation, isn't it? It's from the whole neuron system, that sensation. Stay with that sensation means that the mind stays unknown. Don't use thoughts to create stories or confront any opinions. Just stay with that sensation. Then you'll be fine. But when that sensation is there, when the mind creates a story or constructs something in thoughts, that sensation becomes compulsion to push the mind into the thoughts further. Please see the fact of it. And then the mind is trapped there. This is repeated in our life time and time again. Can we see the pattern of it? stay with the sensation. See the unknown. Go through it. Finished. But when there's sensation, when the mind controls the thoughts and pursue it, the sensation becomes compulsion, and a trapping takes place. Can I observe this in myself? Stay with sensation. That is what is, right? It also means stay unknown. Stay unknown. When there's strong sensations, like no matter anger or fearfulness or anything you can describe, stay with that and stay unknown. To be able to stay unknown, one must understand totally. The speaker cannot persuade you to do that. And stay unknown is not an order from the speaker. It's ridiculous, isn't it, right? But rather, one sees the absolute necessity of stay unknown. The known is fragmented, isn't it? Unknown is never fragmented. It's something total. Stay with the sensation. That's something total, because that's the activities of all neuron cells. Don't pursue thought. Can one live this way? Especially in a world that where the goodness is absent. There's a beauty when the mind stays unknown. Stay unknown means free of any traps. And one must take for granted that everybody is trapped. And everybody around you is taking you into their trap. Take for granted. But you must observe it for yourself. That's why it is so important for one to stand alone psychologically.
Can I ask?
Yes, please.
I feel like you've been mentioning goodness in two different ways. I understand one of them, but not really the other. So the first one is you're talking about when there's fragments and somebody lives through the fragments and says what's inside is good and what's inside is bad. That's one type of goodness that is not actually good. It's just a distinction based on the fragment.
Yes.
But then you talk about another type of goodness that is absent of badness, like a total goodness, like the one that's mentioned here. the responding with goodness.
Yes.
But I don't really understand this goodness.
The total goodness,
Yes.
using the word here, it's not a product of thought. It's beyond any description. But what we mean usually in the goodness in the sense of bad, oh, this is good, this is bad. There's comparison. There's an image of what should be good, what should be bad. So it is still the movement of thoughts. But the total goodness is free with that. And that when somebody is doing good to me, I reply with goodness. When somebody is doing bad to me, but I still reply with goodness, that goodness is devoid of any badness. If there's good and bad, in that goodness, there's badness. That's, well, so if we can use this word carefully, hypocrisy. Meaning that the real goodness is free of any hypocrisy. But the good and bad, relatively, and if the morality is based on that, it is not moral at all. It is something hypocritical. And, well, everybody can see that this world is full of hypocrisy. The hypocrisy, in a deeper sense, denies goodness. So goodness comes from the integrity of one human being. What he thinks, what he speaks, what he acts is coherent. It's one thing. That's the foundation of the integrity. But look at this world. People think something differently, speak something differently, do something totally differently, which manifests the fragments of the thoughts only. Everybody is disintegrated or being shattered into pieces by thoughts. There's no reliability at all, let alone goodness. And in that state, then how can we interact? How can we make friends? This existence makes me feel fearful. Perhaps that's the reason behind this, or the drive behind this utter individualism. Is that so? People become utterly individual, isolated, and people keep such distance from each other. And everyone is living in their isolation, deception. Their own dreamy world. With endless issues, sufferings, fears, problems. And the whole life has no goodness. So, goodness is the certainty. Goodness is the security, isn't it? We don't have it. Then we are craving security. city facilities here. Being good is the certainty, is the security. Being good is love, isn't it? When there's love, there's security. But we don't have that. No, we are all crave security through various materialistic things. Money, pleasure. But we never find it. But when there's goodness, there's care, there's love, what else do I ask for? I don't need money. I don't need anything. When there's real love, care, goodness, I feel secure. That's enough. But we don't have that. Then we have money. We have various materialistic things, gains, or technique, or internet. For what? What does the mind really need? What does the brain really need? Know what the ego wants. It's a different thing, isn't it? The ego always wants this, that, to fulfill, to get pleasure from something. You know, the desire is endless. We don't condemn desire, but the ego is trapped in endless desires. But what mind really needs is security. The real security. Not the fake ones. People think, oh, I may get security from money. Of course, physically, to live a society based on money, you need some money to have that security. But deeply, you don't get any security from that. But when there's real love, care, mind's just secure. That's just a very simple fact, though it's becoming so difficult to see for many people.
So this, the goodness that you're talking about is basically the inevitable outcome of non-doing.
Of course.
Yeah. It's not like a choice. I will be good.
Yeah, you won't. So can one's life flower in goodness. It's not the requirement from the speaker, but if you are willing to explore, find it for yourself. Find it out for yourself. In a world where goodness is absent, can one's life flower in goodness?
And maybe another question.
Please, sir.
You were mentioning a word that kind of surprised me earlier.
Oh.
You said monstrous about the world. Yeah. And I'm not sure I understand what it means. Or why the speaker chose this one.
monstrous come from the noun monster. Monster implies brutality, violence, lack of care, lack or denial of humanity. Monster also implies mechanical things, pattern. The society is based on patterns and laid down by various authorities, though behind those authorities are all people. Everything can function efficiently, outwardly, but that efficiency, when it becomes excessive, is a monster. Can one feel it? Like this whole machine of the society is a monster. Can one say it? Monster means strictness, hardness. Demands obedience. Eating up one's energy. And everything is reduced to an individual case without considering the nature of humanity. Everything becomes, it's your problem, it's your issue. All of this implies it's a monster. The speaker used that verse without any emotions or reactions. He does not condemn the society because he sees the futility of condemning anything. But rather, living in the society, his mind perceives the danger on a daily basis. So that feeling or that sensation is not something constructed. Therefore, the word, the monster, well corresponds to that feeling. But of course, the word is never the thing. Please don't be triggered. Please don't let your emotion triggered by that word. The speaker feels that kind of a smothering from these great patterns of the society. Well, it's really kind of a atrocity, sort of. Treading and stepping more and more people. Pushing people become more and more self-centered. And society is a monster. What is a society? If we don't understand what is society, it is rather easy to become the condemnation of that thing. But what's that thing? We are the society, aren't we? Society implies the thinking patterns. And that pattern is running in our head. So society is a monster. We don't condemn it. It means that that certain mind is a monster. The self-centered, egocentric, narrow-focused, specialized, and fragmented mind is a monster. We must deal with it from within. Is that so? Without dealing with the monster within, we are part of that society. Whatever we say, whatever we do, is the continuation of that society, the monstrous world. So to see the monster, I see the violence of me. And in that total, complete observation, which is the non-doing, I'm free of violence. Free violence, the mind is alert, naturally alert, sensitive, is able to perceive great danger, the physical danger. Then I use the word monstrous to point to that, to point to what the whole neural system is perceiving and looking at this world, inwardly and outwardly. Can I live in a society where I don't belong to it psychologically? Superficially, I have to conform to something. That's fun. But deeply, I never conform. Because I see the tremendous importance of this integrity as a human being. I must uphold it, defend it, safeguard it. I hope this explanation has made some sense to you.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of courage, I guess, because you say that we have a reason to be fearful in this society, but at the same time you want to practice to free yourself from that.
Yeah.
And I think it needs courage. Is that?
So, madam, what do you mean by courage? Let's find out together.
Well, how do you go around the fear? That's actually my question. I thought of courage, but I don't know what
Yeah.
your idea is.
Yeah, we use the word courage, but what does that word point to?
A certain freedom. That's what comes to my mind.
Or the freedom to act.
Yeah.
Just act. Means,
No. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, let's find out, madam, because we tend to use the word courage. But what does the word mean? We need the courage to do something. When you have the fear, then we need the courage to overcome the fear. We tend to express it in that way, right? But let's find out, what does courage mean?
Well, we were talking about making observations,
Yes.
and that the fear comes from within our thoughts. So if we want to bring up courage, we need to observe
Which means,
what's happening,
yeah,
and to kind of rationalize, yeah, what's happening and what you can do about it. And I think that's kind of how you can muster up courage to kind of go against that fear.
which means non-doing. As observation, observe what is going on, to see the actual, not to follow up the movement of thought into various reactions. Just observe, behold, and observe. That's the action one must take immediately. So, courage, if we have used that word, means observation, non-doing, which means the mind must take action, not to follow up the movement of thoughts. But the fear, various emotions or reactions, is the movement of thoughts. To observe means that I stop following the thoughts, but just observe, stay with this moment. And then, without being trapped by the fear, there's action. Is that the whole process the courage points to? Observe, madam says. Which means that we just put aside the image of the courage. We can use that word, but we know that there's no such thing called courage. You see, the mind is free again from this illusion by this word. There's only observation, choiceless observation. In that observing carefully, totally, the mind will find insight into the issues. The insight changes the mind. When the mind is free of any fragments, the product of thoughts, the mind stays unknown. In the unknown, action takes place. That action is not your action or my action. That's the egocentric thing. But action from the intelligence of the neuron cells. If that action takes place in everyone's mind, this whole monster world is discarded. Madam says, you see, this choice observation also include the word, the expression we use, we must examine carefully to be free of all the illusions created by the verse. We can use the word exactly, clearly point to the thing. At the same time, we are free from the influences of all verse in whichever language one use. Truth is beyond any language. Truth has no boundary. In truth, we are all connected as human beings. Convince life, flower in truth. And also, that is in goodness. I think that's enough for today's session. And for some people who are watching on YouTube, also thank you for watching. And hopefully, if you are able to join physically, join next time physically. Take care.
For next session is still here. And in December, there will be sessions in city center, in Roy's place, or in ours place, near to this park. Yeah, is to be, the schedule is to be fixed. Yeah. And if you would like, you could register with your email. So we could share the sessions in December, the specific location. Because it's not public venues like this, so yeah, I think we won't publish the specific location on Meetup, right?
So basically, because this is like middle of the day, and I thought it's probably easier for more people to attend in the evening. So I offered that we can try to do it in the evening at my place.
And hopefully we can meet again in the future sessions to go deep, get clarity about everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
No, no, yeah.
Probably dropping in on kind of like
No, I saw it online. Yeah, I was looking on my phone.